coming into tonight is the month of Iyar. Iyar is Aleph, Yud Yud Resh. The Bnei Yisrael says the month of Iyar is Ani Hashem Rofecha. You heard it before. So the bracha to everybody, that anybody needs a refuah, there's all different types of refuahs. There's a spiritual refuah, that we should become more spiritual and close to Hashem, a physical refuah. So my bracha to everyone here, including myself, is we should be zeicha if anybody needs a refuah spiritual, a refuah physical. Amen. Everyone should be healthy and well, and we can continue to serve Hashem, number one. Amen. Number two, I want to just thank those that came back. That means that it was at least good enough last time and they would come for round two. We'll see if we can make round three. Okay, and obviously thank you to the Rafal family. I know they thanked you already, but thank you for hosting. Thank you for the delicious food. Thank you for having just a beautiful crowd. Good? Oh, I can see myself. Okay, good. Perfect. Okay.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah, and then obviously we're going to take a break for Pluff. Okay? So it's a two-part shiur. Part one before Pluff. Part two after Pluff. I'm just going to ask that everyone stays awake for after Pluff, okay? So don't eat too much Pluff in between. Okay, so now, let's just start off let's gather ourselves to what we spoke about last time. I already had somebody came and told me they didn't do their homework. So next time for shiur 3, you don't do your homework, that's it, we're done. You gotta come do your homework, okay? So I got a big homework packet for you today. Everyone's gonna have to take a big test before you come next time. And I'm gonna have to go through all the tests and grade them. That's what I do for a living. Okay. Now, so tonight is Rosh Chodesh, number one. We also now in Sefira, number two. Also, I want to tie in what we spoke about before. Okay, so I'm going to start off, let's talk first about Rosh Chodesh. Now, if you come to the Rafal's house, and they have delicious food, and you walk in, and you fill your plate up, and then you say, I need to go on a diet. Is that the right time to do it? No. You can't go on a diet when there's good food in front of you, right? You can't do something, if you want to accomplish something, you have to be in the right situation to accomplish it. So if you're at a big party and you start thinking about diet, that's not the place to start thinking about a diet, right? So it has to be in the right time when we want to do those things. Let me give you another example. There's a TED Talk that's going around right now that's about materialism. So this TED Talk, if you look it up, I think all you have to look up is TED Talk and materialism. It says that most people have a minimum of 300,000 items. Okay, we have each one of us in this room, so a couple has over 500,000 items that they have gathered. What does that mean? Pens, paper, everything we have in our... So he has a whole system, break it down from 300,000 items. In 1 month, so you can listen to the whole thing, but in 1 month, you go from one, you add another one, you get rid of 2 items, 3 items, 4. We don't need so much stuff. And you keep adding one. So if you want to watch a TED Talk, it's definitely worthwhile to watch. But let's just take that same example again. You walk into your favorite store. It's not the time to start thinking about. I don't want to be materialistic. I'm not going to buy stuff today, right? I want that you want this, whatever they're selling this thing. Whether the guys are going in, they want to get a good cigar, they get to a nice Scotch store, they want to get a new skirt, a new dress, a new sheitel, whatever it is. When you go to the store, you don't start thinking about, I'm not going to do materialism anymore, right? So, when is the right time? When you're not around the good food, when you're not in the store, when you're not in that place, now you sit down and you think to yourself, I want to make a change. So what we see from that is there are times for change and times not for change. Rosh Chodesh has within it the ability to make change. We can't always do it, but sometimes there are special times Hashem gives us in spirituality. There are special times that we can make a change within ourselves if you want to. So remember, I am here to change everybody here, including myself. So hopefully I got better today, and I want to make sure that everyone in here, we are going to make a change to do something better and be better. And there's no better time than Rosh Chodesh that we can make a change because Hashem gives a special bracha on Rosh Chodesh. Number one. Number two, Sefira. What's special about Sefira? It's unbelievable. What happened during Sefira in the Midbar? The Jewish people came out of Egypt. And from Egypt, all this time right now was the greatest time in our history when we grew together. The entire nation for 49 days, every single person was working and getting ready for Torah. It's unbelievable. So the Sfarim say that when Hashem does something, for example, Pesach night, we were taken out of Mitzrayim. So what happens every year Pesach night? Hashem gives the power that we can get taken out of our tzara, whatever's going on. That's what happens Pesach night. We pass Pesach night, so we'll have next year to do that again. But now, what can we do now? We can make changes within ourselves because for the next 49 days, there's an energy that Hashem puts into the world where we can change ourselves. It's an incredible thing, but we have to tap into the energy. So one can go through the energy and nothing happens, and they don't get anything. But if we come into it knowing there's 49 days, and in these 49 days was a time when the Jewish people were the closest and working together to become better. So it's an incredible time for a koyach to make a change. So number one, we have Rosh Chodesh, and number two, we have the special time that we're in, which is a time of Sphira, when all the Jewish people, so Hashem put into the Bria, within creation, is a time to make change. So that's number two that we have. I want to add also that today is tax day, right? Today is the day to do your taxes. Yeah, you have 24 hours. There's a time for something, that's when we take advantage for it. Tomorrow midnight, if you didn't do your taxes, you're late. So you do them now. Why? Because it's the time to do it. When something is a time, I got everybody upset about taxes now. When something is a time, it's a time to do it at that time. So what's crying out to us tonight, Rosh Chodesh is here, Sphira is here. Now what happens during Sphira? Who is the icon of Sphira? None other than Rabbi Akiva, of course. Because we know, first of all, and I'm going to just take a commercial break about Rabbi Akiva. Commercial break means I'm going to go off topic for a minute. Rabbi Akiva lost his students. How many students died? 24,000 students. Now, what happened to him? Could you imagine 24,000 students die? What do you think of yourself? What do you think he went to go do? He hit his head in a hole and never looked out again? No. He took 5 of his final students and he built the rest of Klal Yisrael. What an incredible thing. How many times do we have something that happens to us and we're ready to throw in the towel and say, I've had it? Who could say they've ever had a worse situation? 24,000 students died? Is that not a sign from God that you're not doing, get out of here. Don't be Rosh Yeshiva anymore. Go do something else. No, it wasn't. It's an incredible lesson to take for us. I just want to take for a minute. When we have something that it comes to us, sometimes we say, oh, it came from Hashem. Oh, how do you know? Who said? Someone recently told me, I know Hashem wants this. How do you know? You speak to Hashem? I haven't had a conversation yet with Hashem. He told me I did something. We try. But don't say Hashem told me. You don't know. We don't know. There's no way to know. We think. We want to think. But if Rabbi Akiva would have said, Hashem says he doesn't want me to be in education, clearly because 24 of my 1,000 students died, you know what would happen? We would have all ceased to exist. There wouldn't be a world because there wouldn't be Torah. He took 5 of his students and he built Torah with those 5 students. Incredible. Now that's why I say that Rabbi Akiva is the icon. Because Lag BaOmer celebrates Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. But who was his Rebbe? Rabbi Akiva, the Rebbe who never gave up. Now where did Rabbi Akiva get it all from? All of Rabbi Akiva comes from one story. And we all know the story, but think about how incredible the story is now. He comes by a river, he sees a rock, and he sees the rock is smooth. And he says, if the rock can be smooth from water passing over it, must be that I can also get smoothed out. Must be that my rough edges could also get smoothed out. I get angry, I could change. I don't want to learn, I could change. I can make changes. How? If the water can do it, then I can do it. What does the water do? It's a slow process. And he realized it's a slow process of small steps of water flowing day after day, night after night, month after month, year after year. And so the message that Rabbi Akiva sends us now is, what is this time period now? To see that it's not big things. It's the small things. What do you mean, Rabbi Field? What's the small things? Think of the biggest company. So let's take, for example, Bitcoin. Okay? In 2010, if you would have put $100 into Bitcoin, how much would you have today? $75 million. Repeat that again? $100 goes into Bitcoin in 2010. In 2016, you would be worth $75 million. Right? Wow. One small person had one small idea, and his idea grew into something incredible. Right? Facebook, a college kid, made an app where there would be a social network for people to interact. One kid. He's worth $7 billion. Everything starts from one small idea. And what happens is we get overwhelmed because we see how big it became, but we have to take a step back and look how it started. One small step is all it is. So I remember going to a dinner for the Beis Yaakov in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Herbert Cohen got up, he was being honored. And he said, I remember 10 years ago, we sat around the table and we decided we're going to start this school. There were 5 of us, and we decided it's time to have a girls' high school in Atlanta, Georgia. And from that conversation, There are now 50 girls, and the school's been open for 10 years. One conversation, 5 people, 10 years later, a school that's now almost 18 years old, all because the 2 people got around the table and made one small decision. That's the flow of water. Everything is a lot of small decisions. If you think about anything that we do in life, even if it's hard, it's just a decision at a time. It's one decision at a time. Now, it's a big deal, and we can do a lot with one word, right? Will you marry me? Yes. Yes. Just change your life forever. Think about it. One word. It was just one word. Or under the chuppah, it's Harei Mekudeshes Li, Kedas Moshe Yisrael. Right? So what is that? That's 9 words. 9 words change your life forever. Right? A lot of small decisions. A small decision under the chuppah, an answer of yes, she accepts the ring, and we change. So what do we see? Big things come from small things. Lots of small things create big things. That's what Rabbi Akiva saw. He saw the river, he saw it flowing, he saw the water, small things happen over time, a lot of small things, and then you get something big. You get this rock that becomes smooth. So our message coming in, and this is a mistake that we often make, and I include myself when I say we, is we can't see that it's the small decisions of step by step by step is how we build and how we grow. It's not the big decisions that get us where we want to go. Okay, small decision. Seed goes in the ground. Yeah? My mother has a peach tree. It took 15 years almost to get peaches. But now my mother makes peach pie for the whole family. She makes so much peach pie, I don't want to look at another peach again. And then apples, the same thing. So now she's got apples. She makes apple pie, right? And it took 10, 15 years. At one point, my mother, so she could get one peach, she had a string from her window of her sink all the way to the tree. And anytime she'd hear a squirrel, she'd start shaking it. So the squirrel wouldn't eat the one apple that she had. Yeah, but it was one small seed. It's one small seed that grows and grows and grows, as are all of we. One small seed, and we begin to grow and grow and grow. So what we see from that is everything is built on small things. And we grow from all those small things. So if we take a step back and we say, hey, hold on. So how do we get on that path? How do we get on that road? So tonight's Rosh Chodesh, tonight is Shiur, tonight is the iconic night when we begin to start thinking about it. We have already thinking about Rabbi Akiva, and now we think about small things. So now, instead of just starting something new tonight, I'm going to make you crazy for a second, and I'm just going to review what we did last night. So, in 5 minutes pluff, okay, 5 minutes pluff. So all I want for everybody is the sheet in front of you. If you look at the sheet in front of you, we're going to go through quickly in 5 minutes one example of what we were talking about last time and how we can go into now coming into Sphira with a reason why we're doing something. And again, my point was, why do we do something? So I'm going to give you a great example. They're not here tonight, but I have a student in the school, Joshua Kikarov. His father one time said a story to explain why he wanted his son to have a Jewish education. He said when he was a little boy, he saw that his grandfather, when he was living in Russia, when his grandfather would go to the top of a bookshelf, he would take out his tefillin, he would take out this book, he didn't know what it was, he would wrap it up, he would pray, and then he would put it back. And he was so curious to know what it was. As a young child, he remembered one time he climbed all the way up to the top, he grabbed it, and then he fell off. And he said he fell, it hurt so bad. But he said he didn't feel the pain because he wanted so badly to see what it was. And he saw the tefillin there, and he saw the siddur, and he saw the siddur in Hebrew, and he said he started crying. He said, I don't know what this is. I don't know what it means. And he decided from that point on that he wants to know what it is, and he wants his children to have it. So his mission for his children to have a Jewish education was based on that story. And nothing else got in the way of that. It didn't matter what happened. It didn't matter if it was hard to get to school, if it was costly to get to school. Because when we know why we want to do what we want to do, then anything that gets in the way is pushed out of the way. Because it's like a flow of a river that goes fast. I want this so bad that I'm not going to let anything get in the way of it. So when we know why we do what we do, right? So I have some bad days at school sometimes. Parents might get mad at me, or there's some type of financial crisis or whatever. But I know that what I want to do is educate. So when that bad day comes, I know that this is what I want to do. So even on a rough day, I still get up and I say, I'm going to keep going. Because what I do is so important to me and I want to keep doing it. So if we think to ourselves, what is important to us about staying in the marriage that we're in? What is important to us about educating our children? What do we want to see? what is our why, so to speak? What is our direction? So let's walk through it. So take a minute, think to yourself, what do I want to create my why for tonight? My wife, my kids, my job, okay? 10 seconds. Think about something. It could be easy or hard. Really, whatever speaks to you, whatever comes to mind. Think about it, keep it in mind as we go through this sheet. So number one, the first step is begin with the end in mind. Here we go, ready? I'm traveling from Atlanta, Georgia to Phoenix, Arizona to move here to become the principal. Or actually to become a Rebbe, right? So I come to AAA and I say, we're traveling across country, we want to get a map. So they say, where's your destination? Now let's say I say, I don't know. Well, how can we help you have a map if you don't have a destination, Mr. Field? I don't know, just give me a map. Well, are you going north, south, east, or west? I don't know, just choose a direction. Whatever. Where do you want to get to? Right? So I come and I say, I want to get to Phoenix. Okay, so we're going west. It's 1,800 miles. We'll give you some stops along the way that are good stops along the way, right? We've got to have the direction that we want to go in. What do we want to see? So I said this last time, I'm going to repeat it. What do I want to see in the end for my children? I want them to beg to come back. I want them to call me, and I want them to come back. That's my goal. So everything that I do with that goal in mind is, when I deal with my children, when I interact with my children, I want to keep that goal in mind. I want to see my grandkids all the time. I want my kids to want to move close to me. I want my kids to want to call me. I want them to want to ask my advice. How can I accomplish that? If that's my why. When I interact with my kids every time, I want to keep that in mind. Now, let me tell you something. I don't keep it in mind every time. But I try to keep it in mind every time. And if I make a mistake, I try to fix the mistake. So they do want to keep coming back. So my why, and I think about my end goal is, this is what I want. How do you want to end up? Like, for example, one day the kids move out of the house and it's just you and your spouse, right? How's it going to look? For some of us, it's miserable. And for some of us, it's very happy. I'll be able to spend time again. Things will be calm. We love each other. Things are great. How will you maintain that if that's how your attitude is? And if your attitude is the other way, things are terrible, how are you going to change that? Because if you know that in 20 years from now, you're going to have an empty house and it's just the two of you together, 24/7, 365 days a year, it's going to drive you mad. You better have a mission of how to get back on track so that when you have to say Friday night, it's just the two of you. How's it going to be? How are you going to live through it? Begin with the end in mind. The end is, I want to be with this person 70 years old, 80 years old, 90 years old. Begin with the end in mind. I want to be with my children for longer. Begin with the end in mind. Why do I go to work every day? If it's about bringing home money for the family, that might not be enough. So what else is driving me? I like what I do. I enjoy what I do. Right? Somebody walks away. I enjoy being able to serve other people. Okay, then I feel good about that. That's my why. Start moving on. So that's my number one. Number two, so we spoke about this at the beginning, so I have everybody thinking about that. Do I want to have a why for myself? Do I want to talk about my spouse or my child? Which direction who am I choosing to do it for? What am I trying to address? I want to keep a relationship with this person. Okay, the last one, develop a meaningful purpose. So what's my purpose? Where do I want to go? What gets me up in the morning? My purpose and my why, when I figure out what that why is nothing gets in the way. Okay? So now, over Pluff, you can write it down, figure it out, and we'll get back together to start tonight. Is it Pluff ready?
No, not yet. You just go.
What? Okay? So when we start with the Pluff. Okay. So now I'm going to start on tonight's topic. Yeah? Okay.
Anything that's in it, 10 minutes, I'm going to take it out.
Okay, 10 more.
He knows what his goal is, right?
Yes. Good Pluff. Okay, so we said 24,000 students at Rabbi Kiva passed away. Okay? Why? Shaloi nahagu kavod zeh b'zeh. They did not show each other honor. So how and what do we understand that with? They didn't show each other honor. So I don't know if I was living that time period. If I was one of the students, I don't think I would have made it. Like, what does that mean to show each other honor? And how do we get into the mindset of that we're showing each other honor? So, coming through, Bluff, coming through.
You've seen this
have a story.
First they try to make us ready to
Yeah.
flow.
We have a story in the Talmud. The Talmud says that there were two great rabbis, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. I'm sure you've heard of them. A man comes to the house of Beis Shammai and he says, teach me the Torah while I'm standing on one foot. So Shammai says, get out of here. I ain't teaching nobody Torah on one foot. Get lost. The guy comes to Beis Hillel. He says to Hillel, teach me the Torah while standing on one foot. Hillel says, "Madisani loch l'chaveroch al tas." That which you dislike, do not do to your friend. That's the whole Torah on one foot. Again, that which you dislike, do not do to someone else. That's the Gemara in Shabbos. What does that mean? That which you dislike. 613 commandments, all boiled down into one standing on one foot. That which you dislike, do not do to someone else. So, the rabbis explain. First of all, your friend, that which you dislike, do not do to your friend, he says. Your friend is two different people. It is your actual friend, and then Rashi brings a verse that it's also Hashem. Now, why Hashem? So how do we interact with our friend? When we understand how we interact with our friend, we can also understand how we interact with Hashem. So we have to think about how we interact with a friend, that which we don't want from our friend, that we're going to not do to them. So, I'm calling on my two examples. Examples, come on down.
You went in there.
You went there, I'm going to call it. I need you now. You're on. Yes. So if you don't mind, just we're going to take a chair one,
That one.
chair two.
Sitting or standing?
You're going to sit. Okay. Now we have wife and husband. Okay, you guys ready? This is really easy. Yeah, so much. Okay. Raise your hand if you like the cap on the toothpaste. Love it. Love it. Okay? Raise your hand if you hate when somebody leaves it off the toothpaste. Hate it. Okay? Now, raise your hand if you don't care. Great. Okay? So, you're going to be cap on. Okay? He's holding it up, cap on. And you're going to be cap on.
This is for you. This is daily.
Maybe they should.
Daily? Yeah, the story.
Story of our marriage.
A man came to the rabbi, said to the rabbi, I can't stay married to her anymore, she doesn't keep the cap on the toothpaste. True story. He says, then buy another tube.
Or have more kids.
Buy another
Okay.
tube. Okay, next. Okay, now some people, let's just be clear because I want to even the playing field, okay? We shave, there's hair. You take a shower, there's hair. We're equal, okay? Yes, you come to the shower, it's my daughter, my wife, there's hair everywhere. Just like there is when we shave and it's on the sink, okay? So let's even the playing field, okay? It's a problem for us and it's a problem for you, okay? Now, she hates the hair. He don't care. Okay? Now, here we go. Hold up. Oh, you gotta hold them both up so we can see both of them. Okay, now. This couple, wonderful, beautiful couple, he knows and she knows about one another. She wants the cap off. She brushes her teeth. He's gonna come out. He's gonna see the cap off. He wants the cap on. He's gonna, every time he brushes, he's gonna put the cap on. Now, Vice, let's flip it the other way. She does not want his beard hair in the sink. He doesn't care if she leaves her hair in the shower. It doesn't matter. Okay? So that's where we come from. Now, let me give you one more example.
Oh boy.
No, this is excellent. Okay? Both of them do not care if there are slippers on the floor.
Really?
Yes, they both don't care. You come into their house, you find slippers everywhere. They don't care. It doesn't bother them. Okay? My wife hates when I leave the slippers around. Yeah? She doesn't care about the toothpaste cap, and she does care about the hair. So here's how it works in marriage. It's not that you do what you want based on what he does want, does not want. You have to do what he wants, and you have to do what she wants. So when we talk about the coupleship is you're going to put the cap back on, and you're going to put the cap back on, not because you want it on, because you know that he wants it. And you don't care about the hair, but you're going to care because you know she cares about the hair. And both of you are going to leave your slippers around because neither of you care about them. Right? That's how it works in marriage. So the way that marriage works, and this is what the Sfarim bring. I'm not just giving you some random, Sfarim talk about it. You have to know what the other person wants in order to understand and in order to service and to have a partnership. It's not that I can do, when we talk about don't do unto others as you want done unto yourself, it means not what only I like. I have to do the same way I would want you to do to me, to you. So if you don't want the cap off the toothpaste, I gotta put it on, even though I don't care. So when we talk about what we do for the other person, it's not just tit for tat. It's actually getting into the other person and understanding what the other person wants and then doing it for them even if you don't want it. And that's how this relationship of marriage works, and we're going to bring that into chinuch. So how do we do that? Thank you. Thank you. Round of applause for our Rabbi, keep going or we're doing cloth? Keep going or keep going? Okay. Chaim, cha-cha. Okay. Here we go. Oh. See, I knew it. He said we don't care. England. But they speak only English. Most people didn't speak Yiddish. And when he came to England, he came to a synagogue, and they asked him if he would say a speech to everybody. And he explained, I only speak Yiddish, I don't speak English. So they said, it doesn't matter, we want to hear it anyway. So he gets up, and he says an entire shiur for 45 minutes in Yiddish to a lot of people who only speak English. And people walked out, and they said it's the best shiur they ever heard. Why? Because studies tell us that 93% of communication is non-verbal. 93% of communication is non-verbal, meaning I don't have to say anything at all, and you know what I'm thinking, and you know what I'm planning, and you know what I'm doing. It does mean that 7% is verbal. And one of the famous books when we were growing up was the book Men Are From Venus and Women Are From Mars. There's a new book that came out, and this book's premise is based on the fact that in coupleships we often misjudge. So there's nonverbal communication going on, but we misjudge what our spouse is doing. Okay, so here it goes, right? Husband comes home after a long day from work. I'm going on the camera for a second. Slams the door. Oh. His wife says, would you like some dinner? Oh, I don't want dinner now. Now she gets mad. I made dinner! What are you going to do? I made dinner. Why do you act like that, huh? You come home, you sit down, you have dinner, why you... And then they get in a fight. Right? Same scenario. Wife comes home, it's been a long day, she's been taking care of the kids. Husband's like, how you doing, honey? How am I doing? I changed 55 diapers, 25 pacifiers, 25 bottles. You want to know how I'm doing? I'm ready to go to sleep. How am I doing? Right? What are you yelling at me? I work all day too, alright? You think you're the only one who had a hard day? I had a hard day too! Come on! Okay, I'll go to sleep. Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep too! You think you're the only one who has that? All of us have it. We all live life every day. But nonverbal communication is that both of us on both ends have to see that when the spouse gets upset, they're not upset at you. He got mad because when he was cutting somebody's nose, my grandfather always said, he's going to cut my ear if I don't stop moving around when he's cut my ear. He accidentally cut somebody's ear today. He's mad. So he didn't want to eat dinner because he's cut somebody's ear in the chair. Of course he's in a bad mood. You're all upset and he doesn't want to eat dinner. Leave the poor guy alone. And on the other hand, how many diapers have you changed? She probably changed more diapers today than you have in your lifetime. Okay, so she's frustrated because the baby had diarrhea. What do you want? You want to change the diarrhea diapers all day? You'd also be frustrated. But what happens is that we misjudge each other so quickly. We see he's upset, so the trigger goes off in our mind. He must be upset at me. So now I'm going to be upset at him. You can't just be, I'm going to join you. See a chesed she does for you. She doesn't want to let you be upset by yourself. She joins. Let's be upset together. It works much better now. We yell at each other. One big happy family. If we take a step back and we say, okay, nonverbal communication is if I'm coming into the room, right, and I look like this, okay, or I sit down at the table, right, and I take a spoon of the pluff and I take a bite of it, and oh, what's wrong? It's not cooked enough? You're chewing so much. Why are you chewing so much? Is it hard? You know, I worked hard on the pluff. Whoa, I didn't say, I just took a bite. What do you mean? It's delicious. It's my favorite pluff. Let me have another bowl. No, don't make fun of me, okay? I'm not going to make it anymore, okay? If that's what you're going to do, I don't have to do it, right? So hold on, pause, okay? Are we getting the nonverbal communication right or not? Right? He took a bite. He's chewing slowly. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he grinds his teeth at night. He doesn't even realize it. And his jaw is so weak all day that by the time he sits down to eat the pluff, he's chewing slowly, right? But before we jump to conclusion, so what he says in the book is that we have two systems. We have a really expensive system, and that system makes like all the hard decisions. And we have like a cashier system, which makes all the quick decisions. So we've decided in the hard system that when we see this face, it must mean that he's upset at me. Must mean when she sees this face, she's upset at me. The hard drive sends a message, that's a face of upset. The cashier, she's upset. Oh, well, she's upset now. I'll show her back. I'll be upset too. I'll be upset. Right? You want me upset? I'll show you what upset is. You want to see upset? And so what happens is the hard system starts sending the message. The quick system makes the quick decision. And now what we have to do is take a step back and say, hold up. Main system back here. Are you sure you're reading that face right? Because this face could mean I'm upset. It could also mean I had a long day at work. It could also mean my son just really frustrated me because he urinated in my shoe. It could also mean that the dog just ran out the door and I got to run after him. Like that face has a lot of different underlying messages, right? So instead of the hard drive, we got to take a step back and say, 1 second, who are they mad at? Right? Are you really mad at me? Let me stop and ask the question. Are you upset at me, dear? No, I'm not upset at you. I'm upset at the dirty diapers. I told you there's a lot of dirt. Oh, so sorry I had so many diapers. You know what? I'll take the next one. You will? Absolutely. Love to. Look at that. Yeah. He comes in. He's upset. Are you upset at me, honey? No, I cut somebody's ear in the chair today. Oh, okay. You're not upset at me. Great. You're not hungry. You don't want to eat. No problem. Right? I understand where you're coming from. So we have what the book talks about is just taking a stop and taking a minute to understand that the nonverbal communication that we're picking up on, that we make sure that we pick up on the right communication and we're not misshooting and misjudging what we're seeing and taking one reaction in another reaction. I'll tell you, somebody said this to me, not here now, but somebody said this to me once, probably my first couple weeks of school when I was a principal. I came to school like regular, got out of my car, I was going upstairs, and father comes over and says, "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "Why?" "You're not smiling." Okay. From now I smile. Always there. Because you know how many people come to me if I'm not smiling, ask me if I'm okay? "Are you okay, Rabbi?" "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm great. It doesn't always stay on like the muscles get tired after. Right? Sometimes I get this, Rabbi Field must not like me. Why? Why? You didn't say hello to me when you passed me in the hall. I didn't realize. Like, I might have been thinking about some other situation of somebody who, like, sometimes I literally will pass somebody in, like, right in there. My wife knows this, so she'll say, "Are you hearing me?" Like, she'll call my name a few times so she gets my attention because I'm like, I'm thinking about, "Yeah, sorry, honey, yeah. Okay, I'll take the garbage out. Sorry, yeah. So she knows that if she said take out the garbage and I said yes, but I was, like, looking there, I didn't really hear her. So she'll say, and she makes sure that she gets eye contact, and make sure she gets the communication, because sometimes there is something else going on. So what happens is we start guessing, and the guessing game doesn't usually work very well. We think that we know our spouse really well. I mean, we've been married for 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, 30 years, 20. I mean, I know him already. No, you don't. No, you don't. So take a step back, take a minute, and we have to almost get to know each other. What does that face mean? Because I usually pick up that face as you're upset. Yeah, I'm upset. I'm just not upset at you. Okay, that makes a big difference. Because like when you're not upset at me, then I'm not like, the boxing gloves go off. And like I can be like, I'm okay with that. Be upset. Just as long as you're not upset at me, I didn't do anything. I worked hard today. Don't be upset at me. Right? And we take a moment to start to understand one another a little bit better. Understand the facial expression doesn't just have one meaning, but it has 5 meanings. It means I'm tired. It means I'm hungry. It means I'm frustrated. It means, no, I just have to go to the bathroom. Just run into the bathroom. Okay, that's what that facial expression is. Now I got it. So it has 5 different meanings. So now I can just ask, what are you feeling right now? How was your day today? Instead of going at it. So nonverbal communication is very important, but it's also very important to have verbal communication to make sure that we're right about the nonverbal communication. We feel the frustration. We assume it's a frustration towards us, but it has nothing to do with us. Okay, so how do we start to get to know the other person and what they're feeling? First of all, a lot of communication is nonverbal. So we have to understand, oh, you mean for the last 30 years we've been married and you never told me that you want the cap on the toothpaste? How should I know that? Right? Like, you wanted flowers for the last 10 years and you never told me? You should have known! Really? No, I can't guess. I'm not in your mind. Right? My wife has told me 1 billion times which color flower she likes. I always have to ask her because I can never remember. I have this mental block. So we have this understanding when I'm going to buy the flowers, I know I'm supposed to know the color. I don't know why I have this mental block. I should write it down on my phone. I didn't write it. Tell me again which ones you don't like. Right? I want to make sure I get the right ones. Okay, so she'll tell me again. But she had a friend who wanted flowers and never told her husband. So she said, you know, I told my husband the first week I like flowers and he's been buying them for me. She's like, really? Let me try that. You know, like 5 years later, this woman's also been getting flowers for the past 5 years, right? So we cannot guess and we can't get into each other's heads. We've got to communicate what our needs are and not assume that we understand. And then we're frustrated that the shoes are there again. I'm so upset, right? Or I've told him a few times. I've told him 100 times. You know what? He still forgot. And I'm sure that you also forgot. And it goes both ways. So nonverbal communication is important, but verbal communication is also important. If you're saying he should know, or if you're saying she should have known, you're making a mistake most of the time. It's not worth it. Why not just say it? So they're not in your head. They don't remember. They don't get it. So say it. Just repeat it again. You know, in a nice way, like, you know, I really hate when your stinky socks are on the kitchen counter. Like, again, please, you know, like, don't you get it when the garbage is full that you're supposed to take it out? It doesn't, really, like, I'll pass the garbage 100 times. Do you not see it's full? No, I don't. In fact, it's not full. Because for me, full, here's how it was in yeshiva, okay? This took like a few years for me to write. The garbage is in an area. Okay? You throw the thing in the area. So as long as it's within like 3 feet of the garbage can, we're good. That's dorm life for boys, okay? So my mom will like come to the door, I'm like, what is that? I'm like, it's the garbage area. Okay? It's a few feet away from the bed. You know, you shoot, you miss, not a big deal. Within 3 feet, we're good, right? So, I mean, my son picked up on it now. So he'll see me at the Shabbos table, and he'll be, oh man. Avrami, she said this week, next time I'm going to give you punishment. I've had enough, right? Because he's like, I got it, but he knows already to put it back in, right? So I'll pass the garbage like literally 50 times. It's not really full until it's overflowing. Like when it starts falling out now, that's what I've been trained to after 15 years. If it's actually falling on the floor, then you pick it up and you take the garbage out, right? Now, she notices it and she's like, don't you see the garbage can? Oh. Yes, I got it, taking it out, going, and bringing it out, right? So, yeah, I need a lot of reminders, okay? And I'm happy to do it. Just don't get mad at me because I forgot, okay? Like, I'd like to take my shoes off at the Shabbos table, right? Like, can you get your stinky shoes out of here when you leave? Yes, I might not remember because I'm so tired and groggy from the cholent effect. Everybody has the cholent effect is Friday, Shabbos, you have the cholent, and it's this automatic Xanax. Right? You go into like what? Oswald. I need my bed. Shoes! Oswald. Shoes! Oswald. Right? Like, oh, shoes! Okay, got the shoes. Okay, now the day's now I'm ready to go to sleep. And many of us, I know many of us men, I speak on behalf of all of us, we have the Osva effect, right? It's the, clear the table. Okay. How does that go again? Here's how it goes in my house. Don't put it on the counter. That means I gotta put it away. That's how it works in my house. Maybe your house, you can clear the table, put it on the counter, you know, call it kavod, whatever it is, but we'll follow through with whatever that is. But let's make sure that the point is that we're having communication about it. And we're discussing what it is that we want. And we're reminding. Yeah, and we all need those reminders, those subtle, gentle reminders at the right time and the right way. Not angry, not upset. Like, can you get the shoes again, please? Sure, dear, I got the shoes, no problem. Can you take the dirty socks off again? Sure, I got the dirty socks. Right? We all have that. Just just say it and just get used to it. Sometimes we have to say it over and over again. And maybe you'll be so proud. One of the things they say is if you want to get them to do it the right way, give them a lot of compliments when they do it once. Like, I'm so proud of you. He's in the Osva trance. You took your shoes. Right? The next week he's going to get his shoes because he got such a compliment. He got the shoes. He went upstairs. He remembered. So now he's going to get a compliment. He'll do it again. So the point is that you give a lot of positive when we do the right thing. It's just like with your child. You do that with your spouse. And at the same time, don't be afraid to communicate it again because we make that mistake often. Okay. Ask questions. I remember I was coming home with the flowers. My wife kind of gave a look. I'm like, dear, is it the wrong color? She's like, yeah, these are the colors that I like. And that's when I found out she likes certain colors. I always picked the wrong ones. She never told me. She told me she wanted flowers. She never told me. And I think she also, this is the other thing. Now, this is the thing. I don't think men do this as much. Maybe your husband does, but like, it's the change. I don't like yellow anymore. Don't you know? What? You said your favorite color is yellow. No. I haven't liked yellow in like 3 days. So, like, we're on to purple now. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know. I will go back to the store, I will buy purple ones, and I will bring the yellow ones back, right? So let's make sure that when we make that change, like maybe we like something different, or we're sick of something. And the same thing for the men, like you're sick of hot dogs for dinner, just say, maybe we can move on to hamburgers, or maybe we can go to 613 Grill for tonight for dinner, and that way you don't have to cook. Whatever it is, but let's make sure that we're having the communication. The last thing is, I said this already, just make sure you tell the person. Tell them how you feel. Do it in a nice way, non-threatening, not at a time. But you don't say it when the dinner's going on the table that you don't like that dinner, right? I don't like osva. I shouldn't say that. I don't like when you make, fried chicken, okay? So she puts fried chicken in front of you. Don't you know I don't like it? Bad time to say that. Say it at a different time, like the next morning, like, dear, I love the fried chicken. I just need a break from it for a little while. No problem, right? Because the other one is, you say it at dinner, oh, you don't like the fried chicken? Okay, maybe you don't like the bed, sleep on the couch. And that's what happens, they get a big fight, all of a sudden you sleep on the couch and you say you didn't like the chicken. I'm just trying to tell you I don't like the chicken, I want to have something different, right? But, you see, so it's the right time that we say it. Okay, now let's move into just kind of a tip of the iceberg into, now we can actually bring the same concept into our educating our children, okay? So here we go. Revolba says, and he brings to the Vilna Gaon, if a child is born, this is an interesting thing, if a child is born on a Monday, so he's going to have a nature that so to speak goes after blood. What does that mean, he goes after blood? It means that either he's going to be a doctor, or a moyel, or a murderer, okay? So, or whatever, it brings our shaykhid is on the positive side. So there are positive sides and there are negative sides. What Revolva says is, you cannot change the nature of the child. A child could be good or bad, and they can make that choice. But the nature is not going to change, right? Some of us are the type A, intense people, and some of us are the more relaxed, easygoing types, right? That nature is who we are as people. We cannot change that nature as people. We come in with that type, so to speak. It's downloaded in our hard drive. It's downloaded in our system that this is how we are. So let's say, for example, a lot of times, let's take a kid that has a lot of energy, right? So a lot of energy means that they're having a hard time at school, or at home they don't like to do things, they don't like to get things done. That is their nature. So what Revolva says is you have to address the nature of the child. Now, let me pause for a second, okay? The kids with the most issues are the ones that are the most successful later on in life. Are you ready for that? The kids with the most issues, sometimes the ones that are the strangest, the wildest, the craziest, sometimes they're the ones that are the most successful in life. So let's take a few examples, okay? Elon Musk, he's the one who's created Tesla. He has his Tesla now floating in space. He's worth $9 billion, okay? Now, what did he look like as a kid? So as a kid, they thought that he was stupid. They thought he was so stupid and so insignificant and incapable that they thought he couldn't hear. They actually did a surgery on him to try to get him help. And the kids in school would beat him up. He got beaten up so badly one time that he got sent to his bones, almost all his bones were broken. Then they realized what a genius he was. And he has nothing wrong cognitively. He's very smart. And he created Tesla. And he created PayPal. And he created this famous video game. And he's worth $9 billion. Right? So sometimes that child that everyone thinks is like, this child can't make it. This child, and that child's the one that goes to great places. Right? And those situations come up a lot of times. So like the absent-minded professor doesn't usually bring their homework in. Right? Because they're absent-minded. They forget it. Right? But the flip side is what happens when they get older. It's not really so important because somebody else will take care of the homework for them. It's just that we're going to use the mind of the absent-minded professor to take us to go do great places. Let's take another one, okay? Yours truly was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 4 years old. I was, I think, one of the first people in the country that was diagnosed with ADHD, and they're trying to shove medication down my throat. My mother was told by my 4-year-old teacher, if you don't put medication in your son, he's going to end up in juvenile delinquency. He's going to end up being a criminal, and he's going to go to jail. That's my mother. She'll tell you. She'll start crying when she tells you this story. Yeah? I didn't end up in juvenile. I didn't end up in jail. Baruch Hashem, I'm okay. I have ADHD. See? And you're all listening to me. That's why. I have ADHD. So the point is that you never know what's going to come of the child that's there. A lot of times also, think about this for a minute, the one that was in your class that you thought was going to be the most successful, where they are. And a lot of times they actually didn't make it to that place that you thought they were going to make it to. For whatever reason. The kid that seemed the smartest didn't make it. The kid that was the fastest, the most athletic. It didn't happen that way. So he said, Echad Chacham, Echad Tam, Echad Rosh, Echad Shein Yedei. By each one of the 4 sons it says Echad. Why? Because you never know which one your child's going to end up. But we all go through this cycle. Everyone is rebellious at a certain point. Everyone gets to a certain place where they have no idea what's going on. Like when I come to your synagogue, I don't know what page, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what they're up to, right? Because I'm told I have no idea. They have to show me what in the center where we're up to, what's going. But you're the rabbi. I know, but I don't know it. I've never had the experience of it, right? So we all have that moment when we become rebellious, or we get angry, or we don't know what's going on, or we don't know what to ask or what to say, or when we are the wise one. We all fall into that category. We never know which child is going to end up being there. But what we do know is that we have to take the nature of the child as they are. And the best thing we can do for our child is accept our child for who they are, no matter what behavior they're exhibiting. They're slow to do something. Every child is going to be slow to do something. There are very few children that are good at everything. Most of the time in scores, they're good at math or they're good at reading. They're not always good all the way across the board. And we're all, no, we're going to push them harder. No, don't. Why push harder? Maybe we don't need to push harder. Maybe we need to accept where they are, where they're coming from. And maybe we need to look in the mirror for a second and say, what am I good at and what am I not good at? What is my spouse good at and what is she not good at? And maybe my child inherited one of those genes. Like maybe, I'll be speaking with parents for a while, like, oh yeah, I was dyslexic. Thank you, 3 years later, maybe that's what's going on. Now let's just help the child and that's it, it's not a big deal. And that might be the child that's going to make it all the way. And guess what? You don't need reading for every job in the world. You don't need math for every job in the world. You don't need science. You don't need social studies. Sometimes you don't need any of the skills. Sometimes you need all of them. It depends what you end up doing. But the point is, appreciate the child for what they are. The nature that Hashem gives them. Who knows where they're going to go and what they're going to do? The child that looks like the most unsuccessful. The child that looks like the most don't understand. It's a child that creates Tesla. So we don't know what we have. And so the nature of the child is not what we have control of. What we do have control of is if the child's going to be good or bad, based on their capability, right? If I have a child that doesn't pay as much attention in class, right? So I'm going to work with that specific ingredient of that child. Some children take it too far. Like, slow down. You don't need 100 in every test. Like, it's okay to get a 90 or even an 80. That's okay. So let's find that balance. So what he says is, which means educate a child according to what they are, is understand the child for who they are. So let's explain that in tithing, right? I had the husband and wife standing up here. One likes the toothpaste off, one likes the toothpaste thing on, right? So now let's go into the child's mind. What will help this child behave or be better? Right? Let me tell you something. Being grounded my whole entire life did not help me. Grounding is not a good punishment. It's a bad punishment. Harsh punishment is bad. Because then it has to get harsher. Right? If it's one hit one time, it's 2 hits the next time. And what Rav says is you can't hit them when they're 15. If you hit them when they're 5, what are you going to do when they're 15? There's nothing to do. What speaks to this child? Is it a conversation? Is it a walk? Why is a child doing this? Are they not getting enough attention? Are we not understanding where they're coming from? Are they struggling in school? Are they having a hard time with friends? And if we look at ourselves, we have the same thing. If we have a misbehavior, why is it coming from? What's going on? If I'm in a bad mood, why? Because I had a bad day at the office. Kid comes home in a bad mood. Why? I don't know the answer, but that's what we have to start looking at. We have to start looking and understanding the 93% of what the child's not saying. How about the kids that come home and don't say anything ever? Like they never talk about school at all. We all have those. They don't unload or divulge any information. How is school? Good. How's life? Good. How's everything? Great. Can I go play now? Yeah, sure. Okay, see ya. Right? Thank you for saying that. It's not teenagers. It's asking the wrong question. How about asking, who do you sit next to? Who's your favorite teacher? What was something that you learned today that was different than you didn't know yesterday? Don't ask how was school. That gives you no information at all. I can sit with a kid for about 10 minutes. I can get a lot of information from them. Because I ask them questions about what's going on. It's not hard. It's not because I'm smarter than anybody else here. I just take a minute and think about what are questions I can ask this child to find out information about them. Like, not interrogate, just interesting questions. Like, how was the playground today? Did you have any friends that were doing something bad in school today? I sat with a third grade kid. I was at a bar mitzvah, and this kid's telling me, I'm like, do any kids in your class ever get in trouble? This kid, Maishi, Benji, Baruch, they get sent out 3 times. This is in New York, not here. In New York, he goes to, there's at least 7 kids a day in my class that get sent to the principal's office. What? I'm speaking to another kid. I was the same bar mitzvah. This kid's in 7th grade. And he's telling me about his experience. I go, the Rebbe pours cold water on the kid when he doesn't get the right answer. Okay, ask a few more questions. Okay, about 10 minutes later, I go to the mom. I'm like, is your kid's son abusive? How did you know? I just called the principal. The Rebbe puts another kid's head in the garbage can.
Oh, goodness.
You got to ask the right questions, otherwise you wouldn't know. But if we just ask how was school, we're not going to get the answer. If you're asking a question with 5 people around, right? And there's 5 people around that are eager. This one's crying, you're not getting an answer to your question. How was school? There is no answer to give. The child needs some one-on-one time. So understanding what a child is and what you need to give the child and what the response or reaction is for the child is getting to know their nature. Appreciate their nature. An easygoing kid is easygoing. Everything is a plus and a minus. Okay, what's a plus to easygoing? It's easygoing. It's easygoing means it's easygoing. It's much easier. The kid's happy. You give him pluff, he eats pluff. A leftover osfa from 3 weeks ago, he eats it. You want to give him fruit, he'll eat the fruit, right? It's easygoing. What's the downside? Like, he might seem like he's a little bit slow. He might need to be told to do the same thing 4 times. Right? Are we not like that? Do we not have some of those as well? Do we not forget things? Like, I've never, like, my kid comes home the first time my kid comes home, you forgot your homework? Like my kindergartner, yeah, I forgot, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Like, calm down. I forgot my computer at home this morning, like, and I'm 35 years old. Like, hello, the kid forgot his homework, cool off. Okay, let's find a system to make it work, but we're yelling and screaming, why? Like, let's see the kid for what they are. The easygoing kid is going to forget his homework like 70% of the time, maybe 80. Like, so expect it. Right? The kid that's really having a hard time with math, like they might have an F on their report card. So expect it, and let's figure out what to do to help the child. But let's not get mad at the child. The child didn't do anything wrong. Like, when we're getting upset at a child, what did they do wrong? He hit his sister? Do you know how many kids hit their sisters every day? Every single one that has a sister. Right? And how many adults wishes they could hit their sister? They just can't because they're adults. Right? I want to just get everyone to this mentality, like switch mentalities for a second. Like, well, you know, I'm an adult now, so now I'm going to tell the kid how to do it right. Right? But the kid is also a human being, and it's a human being made up of a lot of different mitos that are inside of it, a lot of characteristic traits, and we got to get to know those characteristic traits and get to know what works. A kid that has a lot of energy should never be locked in a room. Well, what do you expect when you can't go out to play because you didn't get your homework done? What do you think is going to happen? Like, oh, Mom, okay, I'm going to go in my room, and I'm going to plan from now on. I'm going to make sure I get my homework done, and I'm going to sleep on time, and they're going to be so proud of me tomorrow when I bring my homework done. That's not what it looks like, right? It's like, no, I'm not going to my room. No, I don't want to. And then you put it in the room, and you hear banging and screaming, and what's going on? And then you come, stop! No, the kid can't. He can't. He has too much energy. That's it. You know, you give a potch. What do you think just happened? You can't do that when they're 15 anymore. So what am I missing? I'm missing. Maybe if we have a little bit more supervision at home, like maybe if I put my cell phone down and pay attention to my kids for 5 minutes, maybe, just maybe, there won't be as much fighting. Right? And I'll talk about technology next time, so if you don't want to hear about it, then don't come back. There's a lot to be said. Like, don't pick up the kids with your phone in your hand, okay? Put it in your pocket and just at least say hello. Right? Because if I have my phone, hey honey, how are you? Hello? Like, okay, you're not important, you're really important. Yeah, hello? Right? That's the message when the kid gets picked up. So let's make sure the phone's put away and we at least get a good greeting, some eye contact. How was your day, good. Nice to see you, I'm so happy. Maybe we can even make it to the car without taking out the phone. I leave my phone in my car when I go home. I do not take it out of my car when I go to shul, when I go home. Phone stays in the car when I go to shul, when I go home. 99% of the time. If I'm preparing for a shiur, I sometimes bring my phone into shul with me in case I need to look something up. I had to look up the Bitcoin thing today between Mincha and Marav to see what the statistic was. So I had my phone with me during Mincha and Marav today, right? But when I go into my house, well, you know why? Because my kids hear the buzz and they come running. They can't even think about it, okay? But my main point tonight is just, I want to take out from tonight is this idea of understanding where your spouse is coming from, understanding where your child's coming from. Harsh punishment does not take care of the problem. So let me end off with the following. Heard from my Rebbe, said it many times. Somebody asked Shmuel Field in a lecture, what are some good consequences for children? His response, my mother always taught me that bees are attracted to honey. Right? It's not the consequence that gets the child. That's not what's going to educate the child. It's not. It's not going to do it. So what do we do? How do we do it? Okay, so I'm whetting your appetite for the next time that we get together so I can talk about more what we can do. But the first thing we can start to do is start to understand, where is this child coming from? Okay, so this is your homework. It's not hard. It's actually really, really interesting, okay? It's called a personality test. There are 5 personality traits that we all have. The personality traits are extroversion or introversion, agreeableness or non-agreeableness, conscientiousness or non-conscientiousness, neuroticism, which usually comes connected to anxiety or depression, and openness to experience. These 5 personality traits have volumes upon volumes of studies that this is one of the first things you'll go to when you go, if anybody ever gets any evaluation or anything. But this is just to tell you about yourself. And what you'll find about yourself, it's very interesting to get a feel for, are you a conscientious person or not? Which means, are you going to put in a lot of hours at work? Right? Or, let's say, agreeableness. A lot of times, studies show that I think 70% of women are agreeable, whereas I think somewhere like 60 or 70% of men are non-agreeable. So you'll find more men are disagreeable and more women are agreeable. Now what this will do for you is to start to develop to understand yourself, and as you understand yourself, you can also understand your child. Right? Because if you see some of these traits in yourself, the traits that you might hate the most about your child are the ones that you probably have yourself. Either that or the ones that you hate in your spouse the most. Right? So if we start to be able to see, okay, my child is not an extrovert. That means that they're not outgoing. They're not going to go over to somebody and say hello. That's who my child is. That's fine. And these, as we talk about these traits, if you bring this with you to the next lecture, I'll spend the first 5 minutes discussing what each of these traits mean, what it means to you, and what it will look like in your child, so you can start to develop an understanding of your child a little bit better. I mean, I can't force anybody to do their homework because I don't know your mommies and your daddies, and I can't send you to the principal's office. So I'm going to leave it up to you if you want to. If you do this, you will be very, very pleased with it. You'll be very pleased with getting a better understanding of yourself. You'll be very pleased at the next lecture when I go over it for the first 5 minutes and get a better understanding of who you are, what you're good at, what you might not be good at. And now as you understand yourself, if you don't understand yourself, you cannot understand your child. If you don't understand your spouse, you're going to have a really hard time understanding your child as well. So as you guys fill this out, get to know each other a little bit. Oh, so she's the disagreeable one, and I'm the agreeable one. Obviously, you have to be honest when you answer these. It's very hard to cheat on this, so don't cheat. It's good for you to know this stuff. It's not bad, and then it will give you a better understanding of you, your spouse, and then we can start talking about how some of these traits show up in our children and how we can be better parents. Thank you.